Now that we have understood what are drugs or psychoactive substances, let us try and understand what are the types of these psychoactive substances. Now, we know that there are hundreds or even thousands of chemicals which can be termed as psychoactive substances, which produce an intoxicating effect. So, it is not really possible to study each and every one of them individually, because the list is exhaustive, it is endless. Moreover, it is not necessary to study each and every one of them separately. Why? Because many of the psychoactive substances, they tend to produce a similar effect, or they tend to come from a similar source. That is why, depending upon the chemical nature of psychoactive substances, we can classify them into broad categories, and drugs or substances which fall in the same category can then be studied together, because their effects on the human body and the brain are similar, and then they also tend to produce addiction in a similar fashion. So, let us first see what are those broad categories of psychoactive substances. Now, according to WHO, there are 10 categories. We have tobacco, which includes all different forms of tobacco products, whether they are smoked or chewed or used by some other route. Now, tobacco products as a group, they all contain something known as nicotine. So, it is the nicotine which produces the intoxicating effect of tobacco in the human brain, and it is nicotine to which an individual gets addicted when he or she consumes tobacco for a long period of time. Though there are hundreds or thousands of other chemicals in tobacco products which are responsible for the harmful effects associated with tobacco. Another category is alcohol. Alcohol includes all forms of alcohol, whether it is beer or whiskey or country liquor or wine, all different forms of alcohol. They have something known as ethyl alcohol or ethanol, which actually produces the intoxicating effect of alcohol on the human brain. Another category of substance is called cannabis. Cannabis includes products which come from the same plant. It is called cannabis plant or bhang ka pauda in Hindi. So, whatever intoxicating substances we extract from this plant are grouped under the category of cannabis or cannabinoid. Another category of drugs is called opioids. Opioid group includes all drugs which tend to have an effect similar to that of opium. Then we have the category called stimulants. Stimulant includes all drugs which tend to increase the effect of the brain. So, it includes drugs like cocaine, it includes drugs like amphetamine and amphetamine type stimulants. Another category is called hallucinogen. Hallucinogens include drugs which primarily produce delusions and hallucinations. So, they primarily induce sensory alterations in the human brain. Another category of drug is called sedative hypnotics. Now, sedative hypnotics, they primarily produce sedation or drowsiness when taken by a human being. Most of the drugs which are included in this category tend to be medicinal product, pharmaceutical products, medicines which are used for some other genuine medical indication. Another category of drugs is called volatile substances, also known as inhalants. They are called inhalants because largely they are taken by the inhalational route, by sniffing. So, these are the broad categories of substances in which all chemicals which we now call as psychoactive substances can be grouped. Let us look at the specifics about each of these categories one by one. So, beginning with alcohol. Alcohol, as I said earlier, all types of alcohols are included in this category, and they all contain ethyl alcohol or ethanol, which is the primary chemical responsible for the intoxicating effect. Now, what are the various types of alcohol? Beer is there, wine is there, we have subgroup within alcohol called as spirits. These include whiskey and rum and gin and vodka kind of products. Now, how do they differ from each other? Alcohols differ from each other in mainly the source from which they are extracted, like beer is largely extracted from barley or wheat, wines are usually extracted from fruits like grapes, something like whiskey is extracted from malt. So, that is one difference between various types of alcohols, that their source of production may be different. The other difference is because of the difference in processing of the raw material, there is difference in the concentration of ethyl alcohol in different types of alcohols. For example, beer usually contains about 4 to 8% of ethanol, the rest of it is water. In wines, the concentration of ethanol can vary between 12 to 18%. In country liquor, the concentration of ethanol may be even up to 30%, while in spirits, whether it is whiskey or rum or gin, they usually have ethanol concentration between 40 to 45%. So, different types of alcoholic beverages differ in one, their source of production, and second, in their strength in terms of concentration of ethanol, which then also has an implication in how they are consumed. Usually, alcoholic beverages with lower concentration of ethanol are consumed without dilution, like beer or wine, while alcoholic beverages with higher concentration of ethanol are usually consumed with dilution, whether it is with water or some other liquid. Now, what happens when somebody drinks? The source of ethanol may be any of the alcoholic beverages we just discussed, but at the end of the day, what goes to the brain is ethyl alcohol or ethanol, and that is why it does not matter what the person is drinking. The acute effects of alcohol do not vary from one alcoholic beverage to another, they tend to remain the same. And what do they include? They include clouding of consciousness, because of which the person may feel sedated or drowsy. But before that, usually signs of motor impairment start appearing at a much lower concentration of ethanol in blood. So, the individual may have some incoordination, difficulty in walking or slurring of speech, poor judgment, disinhibited behavior. We have all seen people behaving inappropriately under influence of alcohol who otherwise do not behave that way, and that is because alcohol affects an individual's judgment. The person's risk taking ability may increase. So, people may drive faster than they usually do or engage in other high risk behaviors. Now, these effects are obviously related to the amount of alcohol one consumes, and there is a term called blood alcohol concentration. What is the concentration of ethanol in an individual's blood? The acute effects of alcohol are linked with that. Usually the effects start appearing above a blood alcohol concentration of 30 milligram per 100 ml of blood, and beyond 50 milligram per 100 ml of blood, these effects become more pronounced, and after 80 milligram per 100 ml of blood, the incoordination and other effects may become so pronounced that the individual will have difficulty in walking without support or his or her ability to drive. If someone continues drinking, then after say 150 or 200 milligrams per 100 ml of blood, the individual may pass out, may go to sleep. Many times people also find it difficult to remember what happened under influence of alcohol. That is called blacking out. That also is one of the acute effects of alcohol. It impairs the memory of the individual during intoxication. Now, coming to the second category, opioids. The term opioid is derived from opium. Opium is an alkaloid which is extracted from a poppy plant. So, poppy is cultivated in India in certain districts, and from the capsule or fruit of this plant, a milk like alkaloid is extracted, and that becomes raw opium. This raw opium then can be used as raw material to produce a variety of medicines as well as some recreational drugs. Although some opioids can be synthetic, that means they were designed or manufactured in a lab or in a factory. So, the opioid as a group includes all substances which tend to have effect like opium on the human brain, but some of them are direct products of the poppy plant, others are extracted from the poppy plant through a chemical process. So, they are semi synthetic, and some are completely synthetic, that they are manufactured in a laboratory or in a factory. Now, there are a number of psychoactive substances which are included in this group. This group is especially relevant because opioids as a group are very frequently used in our country. A number of drugs are part of this group, like brown sugar or smack, or white sugar or chitta. You have some traditional products like opium itself, afim, which is used in certain parts of the country, or a byproduct of afim or opium production, which is called as doda or raw poppy husk. Then there are certain pharmaceutical products which are manufactured for genuine medical indications, but they are used for recreational purposes, like cough syrups, like some painkillers, as well as some drugs which are used by injecting route, which are actually opioid medicines which are used for recreational purposes by some people. What are the effects of opioids on the human brain? Now, in case of opioids, the effects differ depending upon the experience of the individual who is taking the opioid drug. So, in a new individual, an individual who is taking opioids for the first time, the effects may be different as compared to someone who is habituated or used to taking opioids for recreational purposes. In a new user, if someone is not in an anxious or a painful condition, usually the first experience is unpleasant. The individual experiences nausea or vomiting or even anxiety, but someone who is already having some anxiety or painful condition, that person experiences relief, because opioids, they produce both sedation as well as alleviation of pain. They are extremely good painkillers or analgesics. But in dependent users, ingestion of opioid leads to a short lasting intense experience known as rush or kick, which is a state of profound euphoria. This may last for a few minutes to maybe up to 1 hour, depending upon the type of opioid consumed. But after this period of initial profound euphoria or rush or kick or high subsides, a further pleasurable state which is experienced like a dream, pleasant dream, may last much longer. And during this period, the individual also feels a sense of calmness and relaxation. The next group of drugs is cannabis or cannabinoids. As I said earlier, this group includes all drugs, all psychoactive substances or chemicals which are extracted from the same plant, the cannabis sativa plant. Now, from this plant, using different parts of this plant, 3 main psychoactive substances are derived. One is called bhang, which is extracted from the leaves of the plant. Another is called ganja, which is extracted from the female flowers of this plant. And the third one is called charas, which is extracted from the resinous exudate on the surface of the plant. So, these 3 drugs, they all tend to produce a similar effect on the human brain, but they differ in one important aspect. Whether it is bhang or ganja or charas, because they come from the same plant, they all have a common active compound which produces the intoxicating effect. This active compound is called as tetrahydrocannabinol or THC in short. So, it is the concentration of this tetrahydrocannabinol which determines how intense the intoxicating effect of one of the cannabinoids is going to be. And between bhang, ganja and charas, because they come from different parts of the plant, it is the concentration of THC or tetrahydrocannabinol which is different. So, bhang actually has the least concentration and it is usually consumed orally. Ganja, which comes from the flowers, is usually smoked, and same is the case with charas. Now, interestingly, ganja is what is known as marijuana in the West. So, they are exactly the same product, but it is just the name which is different. It also comes by the name of pot or grass or weed. Now, charas is the same thing which is known as hashish in the West. It is also sometimes called as hash. Now, there is a fourth product called hashish oil or hash oil, which actually is chemical extraction of THC from charas or hashish. This is also smoked and it has a very high concentration of THC, but bhang, ganja or marijuana and charas or hashish are the naturally extracted psychoactive substances from the cannabis plant. Now, what happens when somebody takes cannabis? Whether it is bhang or charas or ganja, when an individual consumes cannabis, it tends to numb the individual and it produces certain perceptual alterations. So, it affects the functioning of the sensory organs and the processing of that information in the brain, and it alters the experience of the individual, because of which people tend to report various kinds of weird experiences under influence of one of these products. Bhang or any cannabis can also produce some relief in pain, some sedation. However, when taken in large amount, any of these products can produce intense anxiety. So, people complain of palpitations, they complain of tremor, they complain of fearfulness. Some of these products can even induce paranoia. So, people become so fearful, they start fearing for their lives, or they start having hallucinations, which means they start hearing things or seeing things which are not really there in their environment. So, these kinds of acute effects can be seen in any of the cannabis products. One interesting effect which is seen in cannabis is called driven activity, where because cannabis affects the thinking process of the individual is unable to move from one thought to another, and as a result of which the individual keeps engaging in behavior which is linked with that thought. You may have seen people who under the influence of bhang or some other cannabis product, they keep laughing or they keep eating or they keep sleeping or they keep doing the same behavior over and over again till the effect of the cannabis product wears off, and that is because of the effect of these compounds, these chemicals on the thinking process of an individual. The difference largely between the three types of cannabis is how soon the effect comes and the intensity of the effect. Bhang, because it is consumed orally, tends to produce the effect slowly, but then the effect also lasts much longer. It can last up to 1.5 days after ingestion, while ganja and charas, they tend to produce the effect within minutes, and the effect also lasts for only about 3 to 4 hours. Now, coming to the next group of intoxicating substances or psychoactive substances known as sedative hypnotics. Now, sedative is any chemical which produces drowsiness, and hypnotic is any substance or any chemical which induces sleep. So, by the name itself, it is clear that this group includes all different types of recreational drugs, where the primary effect on the brain is induction of sedation or drowsiness or sleep. Now, this group almost exclusively includes all types of medicinal drugs. Various types of sleeping pills, they have the potential to be used recreationally for intoxicating effect, and they come under this group. Another type of substances which fall under this group are some injection compounds. They are usually not used alone, but rather in combination of some other group of drugs, most commonly opioid group of drugs. So, there are individuals, especially those who inject drugs, who mix one of the opioid drugs like heroin with one of these injections which belong to sedative hypnotic group and use them together. Now, when somebody takes any of these psychoactive substances which belong to the sedative hypnotic group, the effects are not very dissimilar from the effects of alcohol. They also produce a sense of relaxation, some disinhibition, increase in confidence when taken in a small amount. If taken in a larger amount, they also produce incoordination in the body, incoordination in the motor functions, and if taken in an even larger amount, they tend to induce drowsiness and subsequently sleep. So, the effects of sedative hypnotic group of drugs are largely similar to those of alcohol, and that is because they actually produce effect through the same receptor in the brain. Now, the next group of drugs is the stimulants. The use of these drugs is not that commonly seen in our country. It does occur, but only in a specific strata of the society, largely because of lack of availability and also because of the cost. Drugs which are included in this group, they are extremely expensive. So, they are not readily available to everyone, and they are also not readily affordable to everyone. So, this group includes drugs like cocaine, amphetamines, amphetamine type stimulants. Now, these drugs, whether it is cocaine which is usually snorted or amphetamine type stimulants which come with a number of different names and are consumed by a different number of routes, they all tend to produce a similar effect on the brain, which is that of enhancing the activity of the brain. But that does not mean that they increase the physical activity per se. So, what these drugs do is they increase concentration, they increase confidence, they increase drive or motivation to do something, and as a result people sometimes use them as performance enhancing drugs. However, they also have then harmful physical effects, like they reduce sleep. So, the person will find it difficult to fall asleep, or they reduce appetite, which can lead to weight loss. They can increase blood pressure and heart rate. So, these are the kind of effects one sees under the influence of stimulant category of drugs. Another category of drug which is also not very commonly used in our country are hallucinogens. By the name itself, it is clear that these are drugs which primarily produce perceptual abnormalities leading to development of illusions or hallucinations. Now, this includes several drugs like some medicinal compounds like ketamine, which is an anesthetic drug. They also include a drug called as lysergic acid diethylamide, or LSD, which as it is commonly known, or common traditional drug like dhatura. Now, under influence of these drugs, the individual experiences sensory distortions. So, they may experience things which are not really there, or they may experience things which are there differently. So, when somebody is experiencing something differently, it is usually called as sensory distortion or illusion, or they may also develop sensory deceptions, which means they experience things. Usually the experience is a dream like experience which is pleasurable, but these substances do have the potential to produce a state of panic, because these experiences can also be fearful or frightening. Now, the last group which I want to discuss here is known as volatile substances or inhalants. Now, in this group, all the substances which fall under this group, they are taken by the inhalational route or by sniffing. Usually, use of these substances is typically seen among children or in adolescents. So, the use starts at a fairly early age, and it is not very commonly seen among adults. This includes a variety of common household kind of items like petrol or industrial adhesives or paint thinners, nail polish removers. So, all these different types of products which are not really meant for human consumption, but they produce a vapor when exposed to atmosphere. They produce a vapor which includes something called as toluene, and this toluene then produces the, when it is consumed or inhaled by someone, it produces effect on the brain, which is sort of production of a numbness, a sense of isolation, a sense of calmness, alleviation of hunger, alleviation of pain. Those kinds of acute effects are produced by these substances. Now, because these substances are not really meant for human consumption, they tend to have very severe physical or bodily harms associated with their use. And among these children who take inhalants or volatile substances, a lot of side effects, lot of harmful consequences on the body are seen if these substances are used for any length of time. It also increases the likelihood of either some accident during the time of consumption, and also long term health consequences of using the substance. Now, as we discussed earlier, one of the characteristic features of addiction to a substance is continuing use of the drug despite experiencing harmful consequences due to use of the drug. Now, these harmful consequences can occur in a number of domains of life. They can be physical, psychological, social, familial, economic, or even legal. Now, let us discuss some of these harmful effects due to substance use according to the category of substance. This will help us understand that when can we consider addiction in someone who is experiencing a harmful effect associated with use of a substance. Now, as far as physical harms are concerned, they usually take a long time to appear, although even the very first or the initial few instances of use of a drug can itself be harmful. However, most drugs they take a bit of time to start producing harmful consequences in the body. So, it may take a few months or even years before the harmful effects really start appearing in someone who is otherwise fine before starting substance use. And during the course of this few months or years, that individual may actually appear fairly healthy. Now, as far as tobacco is concerned, it is one of the most commonly associated substance when it comes to harmful health consequences. We know that it causes tremendous damage to the respiratory system, leading to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is usually manifested with cough or breathlessness on exertion like climbing stairs or walking for a long distance. It can also lead to cardiovascular complications like increased risk of myocardial infarction or heart attack and of stroke. There can be increased risk of developing ulcers in the abdomen, in the GI system, and of course, tobacco has been associated with a number of cancers, whether they are cancers of the oral cavity or in the throat, in the esophagus, lungs, in the gastrointestinal system, pancreas, and even urinary bladder. There can be other harmful consequences of tobacco use as well. For example, use in pregnancy can lead to poor pregnancy outcomes, and second hand smoke can lead to health complications even among individuals or family members who are around the tobacco using individual. Now, smoking in our country is responsible for more than 7 lakh deaths every year. So, tobacco is one of the drugs which has a number of health consequences associated with it, and if somebody is using tobacco or any tobacco product for a long period of time, then he or she is vulnerable to many of these health consequences. Now, alcohol, a long period of use of alcohol can lead to cardiovascular complications like increase in blood pressure and enlarged heart. As far as the gastrointestinal system is concerned, it can lead to ulcers in the stomach, it can cause liver damage which can eventually result in cirrhosis and even liver cancer. Alcohol is also known to induce pancreatitis which can be potentially fatal. A lot of neurological problems are associated with use of alcohol. It damages the brain which can lead to memory problems, which can lead to seizures or fits, dementia. It also damages the nerves in the body, which can then lead to problems like numbness or tingling. Alcohol, if used by someone who has diabetes, can lead to poor control of blood sugar. It can directly damage the muscles or bones, and also through malnutrition which occurs in people who use alcohol for a long period of time, which can also lead to decrease in immunity and infections. Alcohol also affects our sexual functioning. It can lead to loss of libido, infertility, and poor pregnancy outcomes. As far as cannabis products like bhang, ganja, and charas are concerned, they are usually well tolerated, but have been known to be associated with respiratory problems like COPD and decreased respiratory reserve. Some neurological problems like dysfunction in memory and concentration can occur. Prolonged use of cannabis product can potentially lead to changes in personality of the individual, anxiety disorders, and even psychosis. Now, as far as opioid group of drugs is concerned, they are also reasonably well tolerated by themselves, although they have been associated with development of respiratory problems and cardiovascular problems over prolonged use. However, the most important health risk with opioids is overdosage and respiratory depression, which occurs if somebody takes a large amount of opioid drug beyond what he or she is tolerant to. So, in such situations the individual's respiratory drive gets suppressed. This leads to shallow breathing, and if this effect is even more pronounced, then this can lead to respiratory failure and even death. Now, in opioids there is another issue which is unique, because in our country many people who use opioid drugs to inject. So, there are some specific risks associated with that due to the route of intake, such as transmission of blood-borne viruses like HIV, HBV and hepatitis C, and also local complications like infections and abscesses. As far as stimulant drugs are concerned, they largely lead to neurological problems like changes in sleep and appetite, and increase the risk of stroke. They can also increase the risk of heart attack, myocardial infarction, and in the respiratory system they can lead to breathlessness and bronchial asthma. Inhalants are or volatile substances, they are one of the most dangerous substances as far as the health complications are concerned, and that is because this group of drugs is not really meant for human consumption. So, they have been associated with neurological damage, even brain hemorrhage. They have been associated with damage to nerves in the body. They can lead to loss of memory and cognitive deterioration. They are also related with changes in personality leading to violence and aggression, and they can also lead to damage to other body organs like liver and kidney, and have been known to be associated with failure of these organs. So, these are some of the physical harms associated with variety of substances. I discussed some of the categories of substances. So, if somebody is using one of these drugs and has then developed some of these physical or health consequences, and then is unable to change the drug taking behavior, then there is a potential for drug addiction in that individual. Now, there can be other types of harms besides harm to the body, such as psychological problems. Many people with substance use, they have memory problems, they feel stressed, they can even develop psychiatric disorders, most commonly anxiety and depression. There can be problems within the family and in the society like marital conflict, decreased respect in the society, or abandonment by the family. There can also be occupational and financial problems, decreased ability to perform at work, loss of job, absenteeism from work, demotion, which can also result in economic problems like loss of savings, increased expenditure on drugs, leading to problems for the family. Now, in some instances there can even be legal issues. Now, as we know that apart from alcohol, tobacco and bhang, all the other substances are prohibited for recreational use in our country. So, even consumption of these substances is actually illegal and is punishable under the NDPS Act. But apart from that, in some substances there can be some legal problems associated with behavior under the influence of substance. For example, driving under intoxication with alcohol, which is punishable by law, or accidents because of the effect of alcohol on your driving ability, or in some instances individuals may engage in criminal behavior in order to finance drug use. This typically happens with more expensive substances like heroin, and people then get involved in small petty crimes like pickpocketing and stealing and chain snatching in order to finance their drug use habit. But any of these harmful consequences in these various domains of an individual's life can be due to use of drugs and may indicate potential drug addiction.